So we have a lot of stuff we got to get done today between outside in the garden and in here prepping. So we figured we'd take you along for kind of like a day in the life on what happens with the garden and how we're preparing, preserving, canning things. So let's get to it. Some of these zucchini plants we need to kind of clean up and trim down below to kind of get some airflow going on. So most of the plants are doing okay, but if you look over here, like where Keith is with the butternut spaghetti squash, we got to trim it up because it's got some white mildew on the leaves. All right, so here's the after. I just picked a whole bunch of tomatoes from this part of the garden. Go over here. Keith is tying up the sunflowers. They're getting huge. But behind that is all the tomatoes in there. So I just picked all those tomatoes today. Now I'm actually going to go over to my Romas and start picking all of these Romas. So I have about 10 pounds of tomatoes. Most of them are the Romas, but I have a couple of extra tomatoes in here just to fill it in. But like I said, most of these are Romas, and they are not all perfect. I'll just cut off any of the ones that actually have some type of blemish in here. But let's get them all cleaned up. Well, corn. Make an X on the bottom. Okay, so we're still processing the tomatoes. I have gone ahead and cored them, and I've cut off all the bad spots. Now I need to remove the skins. Not everybody removes the skins. I personally like the taste better without the skins on. Once we get boiling water, we're going to drop the tomatoes with a slotted spoon in here real quickly. I'm going to turn this into an ice bath so that I can peel the tomatoes fast, quarter them. I will actually de-seed some of them. I don't de-seed my Romas, but I will de-seed some of these other ones. Just something that I like to do. And then once they're quartered, I will start them in my saucepan. Alright, while we're waiting for the water to boil, let's go see how Keith's doing with the corn. Go get him, Daisy. Go get him. Come on. Ooh, all done. This bed, all done. You can still see it shady here. It's still a little bit early in the morning. And then you're going to fill this bed here.
That's leftovers, and then I did where we put some last year where we really like it.
Oh, where it gets really, really good sun? Okay, I'll go look at those.
And that extra bed. There's 18 there, and then I still have 20 left.
So we'll put 20 in here, and I'll go show you the other bed too.
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do here. I think it's a little shady, but
we'll see.
We'll give them a try.
So I'm walking through the garden, all the way back through the tomatoes. Here's where the other ones went. It's on the outside, but he has a gate around to protect it because we have a lot of deer in our area. But as you can see, this gets a lot of sun. So I think maybe next year when we do this, let me show you back here. We may turn this whole section into just corn because it definitely gets a lot more sun on the backside. So the lesson that we learned is where Keith is, in the shady spot over here. Don't build your garden in January because the sun is so different in this section over here. That's why we extended out the garden. Lesson learned. Also, different tomatoes have a different acidity. I know there are yellow tomatoes in here. The acidity on a yellow tomato is much lower than other tomatoes, so be careful. So I would highly recommend, if it's the first time that you're canning and preserving or making tomato sauce, follow the recipe exactly how it is in the recipe book. I've been doing this for a while, so I'm comfortable with adding a couple of little different types of tomatoes in my recipe. So I guess my house, my rules. Alright, all my tomatoes are in my stock pot. Now I need to get this into a puree. What I actually like to use is I have an immersion blender. This is great. I love this. I'm going to add a half a cup of lemon juice, bottled lemon juice. Then I am actually going to add a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of dried oregano from our garden. Stir. Woo! Hot. All my pizza sauce jars are in. I'll put the top on. Once it gets to a hard boil, I'll set my timer. Timer is 35 minutes, but depending on your altitude, it could be different, so check your altitudes. I gotta take the top off and let it sit for 5 minutes.